Hi everyone, this is Jerry with San Pedro Mastery. One thing I get asked all the time is which grow light do I recommend to start San Pedro or Peyote from seeds. So today I thought I would do a quick video where we take a look together at some of the different grow lights available online and what kind of light do I recommend. If you've been following my channel, you'll know that I really like the T5 fluorescent tubes. They are cheap and give much better results than LEDs or any other kind of light, at least for the first 6 to 8 months of the plant's life. I'm not a huge fan of Amazon, but for convenience, this is what we're going to use today. This is Amazon.com, which is the US version, with prices obviously in US dollars. If you live outside of the US, you should visit your local Amazon website, and the selection of light may be more reduced. Make sure the seller ships from your own country so that you don't have to pay import duties, and also make sure that the voltage and plug are a match for your country. Let's try typing in the search T5 grow light and see what comes up. You will see that a lot of tubes have got little dots on them. These are diodes, which means these lamps are LED. They are not fluorescent, and you want fluorescent. Why should you avoid LED to start cacti from seeds? Well, here are 4 reasons. Reason number 1. The light spectrum varies from one LED light to another, and usually plants grown under a LED light won't have the same nice color as if they had been grown under a fluorescent light. Of my own experience, the plant color that I get with fluorescent is more in line with the plant color that I get from the sun. The LED lights I've tried so far have given me a more unnatural shade of green. Reason number 2. You don't know what is the ideal height for the lamp, as that varies from one LED light to another, depending on how powerful it is. Reason number 3. The power outputs advertised are not reliable. You never know how powerful the light will be, which results in a lot of trial and error trying to get the correct amount of light. Not enough light will result in the seeds not germinating, and even if you increase the lights afterwards, it's too late. You've missed the train, and the seeds won't germinate. Maybe they will germinate later on after a dry-wet cycle, but the germination rate will likely be lower than if you succeeded the first time around. Reason number 4. Reliability is poor. LEDs are complex in design and packed with cheap electronics, so not surprisingly, they often stop working after a while. I even had that experience with Philips tubes, and it's supposed to be a good brand. Compare that to a fluorescent T5, which is just a simple bulb. What can go wrong with just a bulb? Not much. It will work for years. Just make sure that you change it about 3 to 4 years, as their light outputs tends to diminish with time. With fluorescent T5s, you will get perfect results out of the box. Set it at a height of about 15 inches and you're good. Getting a fluorescent T5 means you know for sure your seeds will germinate, that you won't miss the germinating train, and then afterwards your plants will have a beautiful, healthy color and grow at a very good rate. Yes, the energy consumption of a fluorescent tube will be a bit higher than a LED light, but quite frankly, it's still very low. A 2-foot-long T5 fluorescent tubes will be only 24 watts. It's the same kind of power as a bulb you would use to light up your living room. It really won't cost you a fortune in electricity. Now, if we type in the search T5 a fluorescent grow light, most of the lamps that appear should be fluorescent. Let's click on this one here. It's fluorescent and it comes with a color of 6400K. It's a cold color, close to white. You always want that color, 6400 to 6500K. By the way, you might come across fluorescent tubes in that color, but in a different format. Not T5, but instead T8 or T12, which are larger diameters. Do not get those, even if the color is right. It has to be a T5. The results will be so much better, the light output will be much brighter. With a T5, you don't have to lower the tube right against the plants. They will give enough light at a height of 12 to 18 inches. This particular grow light here is sold with a frame, so that you don't have to hang the light from the ceiling like some other grow lights. The height of the tube is adjustable, which is obviously very convenient. Look on the photo how the tube is hung. It's hung from 2 metal clips, and this is the best way to hang a T5. Like I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, there can be some issues with those T5 lights that rest on legs, like the lights I use myself. With time, the legs tend to pull outwards, which creates bad connections with the tube sockets. This will not happen with tubes that are hung from above using metal clips. For $45.99 with free shipping, you get the frame and the grow light, which has a reflector and a T5 tube included. For that kind of money, you are set. That's for a single tube, 2 feet in length. Now if you want to grow twice as many plants, you can go with a single 4-foot long tube, and that will cost you $65.34. So which of these two sizes is right for you? 2 feet or 4 feet? Well, to give you an idea, let's take a look at what I am currently growing. This tube is 4 foot long and illuminates 32 small containers. Each container is 6 by 4 inch. Well, in fact, that's the size of the lid. The container itself is narrower than that. You can sow 20 to 60 seeds per container. With just 20, each plant will have plenty of space around. With 60, they'll be more tightly packed together, but still not overcrowded. If you sow 20 seeds per container, the 32 containers will host a total of 640 plants. If you sow 60 seeds per container, the 32 containers will host a total of 1,920 plants. Now, if instead of buying a 4-foot tube, you get a 2-foot tube, then you can divide these figures by 2. You will be able to fit 16 containers in there, totaling 320 plants if you only have 20 plants per container, or 960 plants if you have 60 plants per container. And by the way, if you want to grow 32 different varieties of San Pedro and San Pedro related seeds that you can place in 32 containers, I can currently provide those seeds. Contact me by email if you're interested. Next, we are going to take a look at the third offering on this page. This one is for a twin tube light, 4 feet in length. The dual tube units will provide double the amount of light, and that is only really needed if you grow them in total obscurity, such as for instance in a grow tent or in a room with very little natural light. If on the other hand you have the plants in a room with a decent amount of natural light, that could be in front of a window or somewhere else that still gets indirect light, then a single tube should be enough. When the plants reach an age of say 6 to 9 months, then they start to need a bit more light. They don't need a ton of light like cannabis or tomatoes, but they need a bit more light than what a single fluorescent T5 tube can offer. At that point in time, you have different options. First option, if you already have a twin T5 light, but you've only been using one of the two tubes, then you can start switching on the other tube as well. That may produce enough light for a few more months, but I would think they will eventually need more light. Second option, you can place them under a lamp with several T5 tubes, which should provide enough light for adult cacti. Let me try to find one. So I will go back to the list. Yes, like this one here for instance. If you go that route, you want to make sure that you can switch off some of the tubes. Here, I see there are 2 switches for light level control. Alternatively, you can remove some of the tubes, providing the wiring allows for the tubes to still function with some of the tubes removed. Normally that should work. The main issue I see with growing cacti long-term under multiple tubes is the cost of electricity. You're talking 54 watts per tube if they are 4 feet long. Multiply by the number of tubes, and that could be a rather high running cost, especially in the days of energy crisis. If you want to know how many T5 tubes would be necessary to grow adult San Pedro, I don't know. I've never tried growing older San Pedros under multiple T5s. If you have experience of multiple fluorescent T5s on adult San Pedro or even Peyote, please share that with us in the comment section below. The third option, and that's the most popular one if you're growing the plants indoors, is a good quality LED grow light. I reviewed the Spider Farmer SF4000 light in the past, which is a very powerful model. Most people will probably go for a smaller model, and there are many other good quality LED grow lights, including from other brands. Going fluorescent is more important for the first few months of their lives. Afterwards, a good quality LED grow light will do. Obviously, the main reason for getting LED is the lower running costs. Don't be scared by the very high amounts of watts that are given on LED lights. These are for maximum output, and you would kill your cacti in a few hours with such high settings. You will probably need to set the dimmer at only a quarter or a third of the power. Therefore, the electricity consumption would be lower than with fluorescent tubes. The fourth option that you have, when the plants are of an age of needing more light, is simply to place them outside, if you have somewhere to put them that is. That's what I do personally, because I have a terrace. I typically start cacti from seeds under a fluorescent T5 during winter. Then in spring, I take them outside where I continue to grow them under filtered sun. But of course, if you don't have a terrace or garden, you can just carry on growing them indoors under a grow light. And by the way, I am absolutely not recommending any of these lamps that I've been showing you today. I have not owned any of these lamps. I don't know if they are any good. They do look decent at first glance, but I suggest you carefully read the descriptions and specs, as well as the ratings from the customers. The goal of this video is not to recommend any brand or model in particular, but just to show you what kind of lamp will give you the best results for the first few months of the plant's lives. Now, if you want to save money, you can find fluorescent T5 lights that don't come with a frame to hang them from. With this lamp, for instance, you'll have to build your own frame to support it, or you can hang it from the ceiling. It's a 4 feet long dual tube for $46.99. You can probably find a shorter single tube for even cheaper, maybe $30. The one thing that I recommend is that it comes with a reflector like this one. Is the lamp the only thing you need, or do you also need a heating mat? Well, that depends. If you have them in your heated living room, you can do without a mat. If on the other hand, your plants are located in a non-heated room where it's cold during daytime, then yes, you will need a mat. Currently, I'm growing my young seedlings in my living room with no heating mat. Well, there is a heating mat underneath the containers, but it is not connected. I have not plugged the mat on for nearly 3 months, and the plants appear to have been growing nevertheless, although maybe not quite as fast as with the mat on. I did not plug the mat because my thermostat is currently used for something else, and I don't want the plants to get too hot while they are still enclosed. The temperature in my living room oscillates between 18 and 24 degrees Celsius. That's 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That varies depending on the time of the day and whether or not I have heating in the room. So it's not very warm, but then again, when they are in the first month of their lives, the cacti need less heat. It's logical. In nature, they typically germinate in spring when temperatures are lower. However, for the first 10 days that follow sowing the seeds, I recommend having the room temp at least 22 degrees Celsius or 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, they might not germinate. And these temps are just daytime temps. It's okay for temps to drop at night. Now, if you want to get a mat, which mat should you buy? If you go for one of these cheaper mats, personally I would not like to leave the house when the mat is on, in case a malfunction happens. But like I mentioned before, if the room temperature is not too cold, you might not even need a mat. Just keep in mind that germination is the most critical moment. Temperatures cannot be too cold during these 7 to 10 days until they germinate, just like there must be enough light. I hope this video has been helpful to all of you thinking about starting San Pedro or Peyote from seeds indoors. Now that you know what kind of grow light you need, all that's left for you to buy is some seeds. And buying the seeds that I produce myself is the best way you can support my channel. If you would like me to email you information, prices and photos on seeds that I sell, as well as live seedlings grown from the same seeds, please send me an email. You'll find my email in the description of this video, but I will also make it appear now on the screen. It's sanpedromastery@protonmail.com. That's all for now. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more videos on how to grow the San Pedro cactus, and see you soon with another update. Ciao, ciao.